Good morning and welcome to another installment of City Club Missoula. Our forum today will be a day in the life of student athletes. My name is Brett Rosenberg and I had the privilege of serving as the 2021 chair of City Club Missoula's board of directors, and I'm so glad to see all of you here today. City Club's mission is to bring people together to inform and inspire on issues vital to the community through public forums that encourage the discussion of new ideas and the free exchange of thought. We have a deep commitment to the civility and civil discourse, even when we discuss very controversial issues. Before I introduce our moderator, some thank yous are in order. Thank you very much to the University of Montana and Alex Karklins for making these virtual forums happen. Also, thanks to Missoula Community Access Television, which records our forum as part of their media assistance grants to nonprofit organizations. MCAT serves our community on cable channels 189 and 190. You can also find videos of past CCM forums by clicking on the video button on our website, cityclubmissoula.com. Thanks to our sponsors, particularly those at the executive level. In addition to the University of Montana, they are Blackfoot Communications and First Security Bank. We also like to highlight some other sponsors every month. So today we want to acknowledge Arts Missoula and Glacier Country, Montana. We're grateful to our very diverse sponsors, and we invite you to join them by going to our website. And of course, thank you very much to our board of directors and our administrator, Eric Legbold. City Club Missoula would also like to acknowledge that we are in the Aboriginal territories of the Salish and Kalispel people, some of whom may be present with us today at our forum. Today, we honor the path they've always shown us in caring for this place for the generations to come. There is also one other item I'd like to mention before introducing today's moderator. As most of you know, City Club Missoula is a nonprofit organization, like many others, with bylaws and a board of directors. In our case, our bylaws stipulate that board members may only serve for so long. So I'm sad to report that we are losing two long-serving board members this month, Robert Giblin and Susan Hay Patrick. Most City Club regulars know Robert quite well. Thanks to Robert's calm competence and professionalism, City Club functions as well as it does. Robert truly lives by an ethic of leaving a place better than when he found it. Sadly, Robert is not only terming out of his board seat, he has left Missoula as well. I hear it's something to do with Boston Red Sox season tickets, but that is a rumor. Susan Hay Patrick, she is among the most respectable, diplomatic, and fun people that I've personally met in Missoula. She truly creates her own weather wherever she goes, and I mean that in a good way. If City Club is half as successful without these two in the coming year, I think we'll still be in good shape. So we'll miss you both. With that though, I will turn it over to our moderator, Riley Corcoran, who will moderate today's panel. Riley is in his 6th year as the play-by-play announcer for the University of Montana. As the voice of the Grizz, Riley calls Grizzly football and men's basketball, as well as hosts radio and television programs and the television versions of the Grizzly Coaches Show. In addition to hosting the weekly Inside the Den podcast, he also calls volleyball, softball, and serves as the MC during the Grizzly Scholarship Association Spring Tour and other athletic events throughout the year. He is the reigning 3-time winner of the NMSA Montana Sportscaster of the Year Award, capturing the prestigious honor in 2018, 2019, and 2020. Riley will introduce our panelists, and I will see you all at the break at around 12:15, at which point we will open the forum to questions from the audience. Over to you, Riley. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Brett. And it's an honor for all of us to be on here today. So I want to introduce our student athletes who are truly student athletes this week, as they are balancing finals this week at the University of Montana. These 4 represent the university and Grizzly athletics so well. We'll go with Carmen Gfeller, a redshirt junior from Colfax, Washington. We've got Cam Zhu, a redshirt freshman from British Columbia, Grizzly goalkeeper. Carmen Gfeller, of course, on the Lady Grizz basketball team. I should mention the sports. I already know this from all four of you, of course. And then we have Catie Semadeni, a junior from Fort Collins, Colorado, on the Grizzly volleyball team, and Trajon, a redshirt sophomore and a safety on the Grizzly football team. So everyone is juggling so many different aspects of this as we get going through this month of December. And I'm going to ask a couple of questions for all four of you to answer, and feel free to go one by one. The first would be, very simply, why Montana? What was the reason why you guys chose the University of Montana? What stood out during your recruitment process, or for Trajon's case, transferring in here as well? So first, we'll start with you, Carmen, and kind of go around the room there.
Yeah, I grew up in a really small town, very family oriented. The community was a big part of what made my hometown so special. And when I was able to come here on my visit, my older brother was a Grizz. He got to show me around a bit too. And just, Lady Grizz basketball is unlike any other team in the Big Sky. We have an incredible amount of fans at all of our games. The community support that backs us up is really special. People will stop us, at the gas station and say, "Good job last night." And it's really special to just kind of have such a solid foundation where we feel really appreciated for our hard work.
Cam, we'll go to you next.
I chose Montana, really just same thing as Carmen. I grew up in a really small community that's really, community orientated, and like we do a lot of things together. So, coming to Missoula, that was really similar, and being in a new place, it was nice to have some sort of like similarity and like something I could relate to. And I just really appreciate, the people of Missoula on my visit. And of course, my coaching staff is amazing. And, that's a huge part of why I'm here.
Catie, you're up next.
Yeah, very similar to what Carmen and Cam said. When I came to Montana, I just immediately fell in love with it. I was walking around campus on my visit, and I turned to my parents and I was like, I'm going to go here. And I think a large aspect is just when you're on campus or when you're with the people in the community, you just feel a sense of family. That's really, really rare. And I visited a lot of schools, and I didn't feel that in any other school that I visited. And then I just love the immediacy of the mountains, and there's so many things to do here. And I loved that aspect of it. And the coaching staff was incredible, and they really impressed me with just how much they care about us as people and not just as athletes. And I knew that for college, I wanted to go somewhere that would help me develop as a person and not just as an athlete. And I really felt like all of the people here, my coaching staff and everyone that I come into contact with, was going to help me do that. And that's why I fell in love with Montana.
Trajon, you're next up, and you transferred into Montana from Oregon State. So a bit of a unique story there, but feel free to let us know why you chose Montana.
Yes, my story is a little different than everybody else's. I transferred from Oregon State, and looking for a new home, I wanted to look for a place that really cares about football, because at Oregon State it was a little different, and in high school we were kind of a powerhouse also. So like I kind of missed that, people really caring about the sport, and Coach Houck was a big part of that. Why I chose Montana, Coach Houck and the staff, and then coming here on my visit, me and Omar came together in January, and it was just beautiful. The snow was still on the ground, the sun was out. It was just a beautiful scenery, and just going to get breakfast and stuff like that. People could just tell that we're football players, and they always brought up football talk, and I could tell that this town really loves its football, and that was a big part of me choosing Montana.
Well, we're lucky to have you here, and all four of you here representing the University of Montana, no doubt about it. We're going to stem into a lot of different areas of what your guys' routine is like, and the hardest things that you have to balance from a day-to-day basis. But I think a lot of people would be curious what your day-to-day is like when you're in season. So I guess, Carmen, again, we'll start with you, but what is a typical day like for you with time management, when you wake up in the morning, when you prioritize homework, practice, all of those things, as well as classes? So Carmen, give us kind of a day in the life.
I'm an English education major, so right now I'm doing a lot of observations. I've been placed at Lolo Middle School, and I actually just finished those up. But a typical day would be waking up. I have weights at 8 a.m. And then from there, I would run out to Lolo Middle School and observe for about 4 hours. I'd come back, try and be back at my apartment for lunch by 1, head into the training room and get prepared for practice, whether that's just warming up, getting taped, whatever that entails, and then practice from 3 to 6. On some nights I have night classes, so I would go to class after practice, but some nights I'm able to come home, make some sort of dinner and just get to work on homework and any like lesson planning or anything like that I need to get done, and then do it all again the next day.
With a smile on your face too, right? No doubt about it. Cam, we'll go to you next. I know that you guys finished up your season about a month ago, and another successful season for Grizzly soccer. I have to put it out there right now. You were the Big Sky Goalkeeper of the Year, 6-time Defensive Player of the Week as well. So a phenomenal freshman start. But tell us what a day in the life was for you when you were in the middle of your season.
Thanks, Riley. Well, in the middle of the season, it's really hectic because our season starts off in August, so before even school starts. So it's a lot easier to balance then. But during school, typically we have weights twice a week at 6:15. So not lucky like Grizz basketball, but 6:15 start, and then usually I'll have treatment after that to do a little, prehab and just recovery, and then I'll usually have 3 classes a day then, and then around from 4 to 6 we have practice out at South Campus, and then the rest of the night is usually for homework, and then same thing, I wake up and do it all again.
Wild to think about. I tell you what, you guys are scheduled day to day. I don't know how you balance it all, which we're going to get into in a moment. But Catie, next up for you, you guys had another great season as you made the Big Sky Conference tournament, a great late season push. You have to remember you guys beat the Cats in Bozeman. I always have to reference that when we talk about Grizzly volleyball this year. But tell us what the day in the life of the season was for you as you guys wrapped up a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. So we also start in the fall. So it's very similar to what Cam was saying. So we start volleyball before school starts, and we'll do 2 days there. And then when school starts, we lift at 7. So right in between soccer and basketball, but we'll lift at 7. So normally lift for about an hour, run home, make some breakfast. Then I'll head to class from about 9 to 12:30ish. And then run home, make some lunch, and then I'll go to the training room, do some treatment and recovery to get ready for practice until about 1:30. Then we start setting up nets and getting ready, and we practice from about 2 to 5. And then if we're playing a game, we'll do film either before or after practice, or some extra rep sessions, or whatever that can go up until like 6, or start as early as 1 for people, just kind of depending on schedules. And then come home, make some dinner, do some homework. And if we're traveling, we'll leave on like a Wednesday, usually, because we play Thursday, Saturday. So we'll leave Wednesday, we'll miss Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of school. Yeah,
I was going to say, we'll get into the travel aspect of this too, because I don't think many people realize when you're in the Big Sky Conference and you're on a road weekend, it's usually Wednesday to Sunday for the most part to try and get through it for a 3 to 4 month cycle as well. Trajon, I know that it's very fresh. Your season, of course, just came to a close last week, but what a season it was. You were a key piece in a Grizzly secondary that was one of the best defenses in school history. And you're just wrapping up football, getting into finals and whatnot. But what's a typical day like for you as well?
Yes, thank you, Riley. A typical day for me will be, we lift three times a week, so Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. We've been lifting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday since we've been playing on Friday, so we have to tweak the schedule a little bit. But I lift at 8 a.m. We have 3 lift groups. You could choose from 6:45, 8 a.m., or 1, whichever works best with our class schedule. So I lifted at 8 a.m., 8 to 9. So after my lift, I'll go straight to the training room, ice tub a little bit. So I'll probably be in there from 9 to 9:45, just rolling out, ice tub and all those things. Then after that, I'll change, shower, and then I watch film at the facility probably from 10 to 11:30, almost 12. And then after that, I'll go check in for lunch, and then I'll go home for a little bit, probably try to take a little nap before I have to come back to the facility for practice. Meetings usually start around 2:30. Meetings start at 2:30, so I have to be there at 2:15, ready to go. And then after meetings, we go to practice. So practice probably start around 3:45 till pretty much 6. And then after that, go home, get something to eat, shower, and then that's when I start my homework for the day.
As you guys can see, it's pretty rigorous throughout the day and throughout the weeks, the months. It's nonstop for these guys. When you think about the true student athlete side of things, everyone knows what you do on the respective playing fields and maybe identify you through a different sport. But as we all know, life after sports is going to be what's so crucial for you guys here. When your playing careers are over, what are kind of the goals, and maybe just remind everyone or tell everyone what you guys are studying as well as we go around the room. Carmen, you can lead us off again.
I don't know that I'm quite ready to face the reality of not being an athlete anymore. I would love to pursue a career overseas after I graduate. And then when I come back, like I've mentioned, I'm an English education major. I'd love to be able to teach. I'm hoping to get my master's in public administration the next year or two. And that would allow me to dip my toes in maybe more of the business world, nonprofits like this one. And I just want to keep my options open, keep my eyes and ears open for any opportunities that come my way. And I feel like it's coming so quick, but I'm excited for the future.
Well, I was going to say, now these answers, they don't have to be concrete because you guys definitely still have a lot of time here. No seniors as far as I'm concerned in this group yet. But Cam, I know that you're just getting going a little bit as a freshman, but at the same time, what are you studying and what do you hope to do after your long playing career is over, of course?
Well, I'm a redshirt freshman, so academically I'm a sophomore. But for those of you that don't know that, I'm Canadian. So I'm planning on staying for my 5th year. So I'll probably master in business administration. And then from then on there, I want to go to law school and then hopefully become a commissioned legal officer for the forces. And, you know, that's my educational plan, but ultimately I could also pursue playing professionally. So not sure yet. But
well, all 4 of you could pursue to play afterwards. We know that with your ability on the court and playing field, I should say. Catie, let's let everyone know what you're studying, what you hope to do afterwards.
So I'm studying health and human performance with a concentration in public health. And I'm actually pushing to graduate a year early. So I'm going to graduate this May and then pursue a master's degree in public health. And then all of my eligibility will be used up. Unless another just crazy surprise comes, but then I'll pursue nursing school after that, do an accelerated nursing program, and then hopefully become a labor and delivery nurse. That's kind of my plan.
Very impressive. Trajon, I know, again, when the season is just over, everything's so fresh with what happened on the playing field, but if you could indulge us a little bit on what you're studying, what you hope to do after football's over.
Yes, I just graduated in spring 21 in public health from the university. So this fall was my first semester in the MPA program, trying to get a master's in public administration. I have 2 more years playing football, so hopefully I'll get that master's complete in that time. And then after football, you know, I'm just kind of trying to just stack my education up, because I know with the more education, you know, the more opportunities I'll have presented to myself. I'm definitely shooting for the NFL, but education is always something to fall back on.
Well, you guys all have bright futures, whether it's playing afterwards or going into the field that you're studying, that's for sure. I think one of the most amazing aspects for me of you guys is just time management and organization, of how you guys have learned it over the years and how you are using it day by day to prioritize what's important for you guys, whether it's, again, with your sports or whether it's with your studies. So I guess tell us a little bit about where you got those time management skills. Was it more of a crash course once you got to college? You realized that, okay, I'm going to have to balance this a lot more. Was it taught throughout Carmen, just fill us in on that aspect of it. I'm sure your brothers probably played a role in that for you.
Yeah, it was definitely a crash course, 100%. I don't feel like I was prepared coming into college, managing my time very efficiently and effectively. I caught on pretty quick though. I've had a planner with me every year since, and I like to spend Sunday nights just kind of writing everything down for the week, important test dates, practice times, anytime that I need to go watch film and stuff like that. And then like once we get on the road, it's really important for me to kind of think ahead and say, okay, like I'll have open time slots between practice and film. So I'll be sure to get in the team room at the hotel and spend a couple hours studying. And we have a wonderful academic center here at the university, which gives us a ton of resources. And so we're able to spend some time there with no distractions and get a lot of work done. And I should have used that a lot more when I was younger, but I'm glad that I caught on now.
Cam, for you again, redshirt freshman, but you've been to school now for 2 years. Was there a certain moment for you where you're like, okay, I need to learn to manage my time better? Did you have it instilled in you when you were growing up, or kind of take us through the background for you?
Well, the youth program that I came from is structured really similar to how college athletics works. So I was well prepared through high school, in a similar, very like rigorous schedule. And then also just, even prior to that, my mom's really good at time management. And so I kind of just learned from her and just, shout out how she manages her time. And, I think I do a pretty good job of it. And, I'm fortunate to have that experience, but yeah.
And just a reminder to everyone out there, in a little bit, we'll be able to take your questions as well for these 4 impressive student athletes. So feel free to put them in the queue and we'll make sure we get to them in about 20 minutes or so. So Catie, we'll go around the time management organization piece for you. If you're going to be a labor and delivery nurse, and pretty sure that you got to be prompt with everything else. So tell us your background.
Yeah, I coming into college, I would say that I was very organized and good at time management. And then freshman year, the first semester, it is hard. It's hard getting the hang of things. And for me, what was really difficult was you're coming in as a freshman and you start with volleyball first. So I came in early, start volleyball, and all of a sudden I have to learn how to do school with volleyball. And so that was really challenging, is for sports that start in the spring, they get a little bit of the grace period to really focus on school. But for fall sports, you're just kind of in the thick of it. So it was definitely, it took some getting used to, but a huge thing with our program is we have a lot of upperclassmen that are in really similar majors to most of the people and on the team. And they're great about like, hey, you have this project due, like if you need some help with it, here's how you should start this, or this is what you should get done here, or hey, have you done your homework this week? Let's make sure we're doing our homework. And at first you're kind of like, they're getting on me, but it's definitely needed. And as Carmen said, the resources are just endless. My coaches, they're like, hey, did you get your study hours done this week? Or did you get this done? Or what are we looking at stress wise for school? And how can we manage that with your time commitments for volleyball? And that's really helpful. And when we're traveling, they create times to study. And so they'll say, all right, we're on the bus, so you can obviously study on the bus, but then they'll say, we have 2 hours of downtime before dinner. You have 2 hours to get this homework done if you need. And if we're missing exams, our coaches are great about proctoring exams. So I've taken a lot of exams on a plane. I've taken a lot of exams on a bus, in a hotel lobby. It's kind of funky, but a lot of people are there to help you. And I think that definitely helps you create a routine and kind of get into just learning how to manage it well.
And having good teammates is obviously important when you're playing and not playing as well. Trajon, for you, and has it developed maybe over the years, the time management organization, and maybe, you're in that unique spot where you came from Oregon State to Montana. Was it different at all from one to the next? And when did you acquire all those time management skills to be working on yet another degree for yourself?
Yeah, Oregon State, it was a little different because I went there straight out of high school. So I kind of went through the young guy process that you got the other panelists probably went through here. So like we had study hall, the long hours, we had mentors at Oregon State that kind of taught me how to like make a checklist and important dates, like they were talking about, that I need to get this assignment done, dates. I kind of reformed it when I came to Montana. Like I do stuff like Zoom meetings I have to attend, or like important dates coming up and all that type of stuff. But it's different here. We still have all the resources. We have Helen, who is great with all the student athletes. She helps us in the academic center, and we have a lot of resources here, but I kind of still do the checklist thing, and it's helped me throughout all my time in college.
Well, all of you guys have given us a crash course on how to be better time managers and organization. That's for sure. Again, for everyone maybe just tuning in a little late, we have Carmen Gfeller with the Lady Grizz, Cam Zoo, the goalkeeper for Grizzly Soccer, Catie Semadeni with Grizzly Volleyball, and Trajon Cotton with Grizzly Football joining us on finals week as well. And that's what is going to lead me to my next question for all of you guys. It's amazing that you're doing this on Monday morning of finals week. I go back to my college days and how stressful of a time that was. You guys taking 90 minutes for us today. First off, thanks for that. And secondly, give us your finals week schedule, or maybe the things that are top of mind for you right now. We'll switch up the order this time, so it won't be so predictable. We'll go with Catie first on this one, but we'll go through everybody's finals week a little bit and what's the top of mind for all of you. Catie, go ahead.
Yeah, so this week is finals week. For a lot of my classes, I had a bunch of projects due last week. So last week was pretty stressful for me. But this week I have a final tomorrow at 8 a.m. In person. So from 8 to 10, I'll be taking that for a basic exercise prescription class. And then I have a project due Friday at midnight, where I have to create my own workout plan, which is pretty easy for me considering all the workout plans I go through. And then I have 2 finals on Thursday, one at 10, or one from 8 to 10 and one from 10 to noon. And that's in a health aspects of aging class and a health and culture class. So then I'm done. Then I get to head home.
Yeah, finally, after all of that, then you'd be done. Trajon, how about for you? Again, we all know that you were flying cross country with Grizzly football and going through this intense playoff run where we all know the last couple of games, obviously the intensity and the significance just increases for you. So being able to balance that the last couple of weeks, and what's the final schedule like for you this week?
Yeah, last week was probably one of the most stressful weeks for me because all my finals were last week. I don't have any finals this week, so I'm pretty much done. But yeah, last week I was leaving practice early on Tuesday and Thursday because we had to meet in person for like a final presentation. So I had to miss a little bit of practice. So that was kind of frustrating for me. You know, I'm trying to prepare for a big game and I have to leave practice a little early. And so that was kind of frustrating. And then I was focused on the presentation, making sure I get all that done. But I mean, it's worth it. I'm done this week, so I'm happy.
I was gonna say there's a reason why you look a little bit more relaxed than everybody else, right? You're free. You're done. You're done with all of it by now.
I'm good.
That's awesome. Okay, Carmen, your next step. Tell us about your finals week.
I'm pretty much done also. Last week was a busy week for me. Kind of everything all at once was due, but tonight I have a couple of papers done. I finished those this morning, and then I have just one more test that I'm able to work on at my own pace and turn it in by Thursday, and I'll be good to go. But yeah, it's a big shout out to our professors because, I mean, it's really important for us to be able to communicate with them when we're on the road or on the go. And most of them are very accommodating and willing to help us out. And so it's definitely a big perk when we're able to talk with them and work those situations out.
And of course, you guys still playing as well. You played last Thursday. You're playing again this Thursday as well. Then the following Monday, just never quits, at least this time of year for Lady Grizz basketball. Cam, finally, your final schedule, maybe yours were mostly last week as well. It seems Catie's had the hard workload this week of everybody, but give us your finals week schedule.
So my finals are all this week, unfortunately. I actually took one this morning at 8 a.m. and then I have one at 3 o'clock today. So heading to that after this. And then I have one on Thursday and that'll be it. But, you know, with this week also just being stressful, my roommate and teammate also, she just had knee surgery last week, so it's kind of my responsibility to drive her to all her exams and all her labs and everything. So that's just a bit of added stress, but willing to do anything for her and just ready to go home. But yeah.
That is pretty incredible, and especially you're squeezing this in between two finals today. That's time management at its finest. Let's go onto the playing field a little bit more of a fun question for all of you guys. What's been the highlight so far? What on the playing field, whether it's individually or with your team, whether there's a certain game, a certain moment that stands out of your time at Montana so far? We'll start with Catie on this question, but just a highlight. What's been the biggest highlight for playing for Grizzly volleyball?
Well, you kind of already mentioned it, but we did beat the Cats at their home, and it was a crazy game. They actually won the game, and our coach had a challenge call, so they didn't agree with one of the calls by the refs at the very last point. And we were down by 2, and so they were cheering as they thought they won, and our coach pulls out the challenge card, and then everyone's quiet and no one really knows what's going on, and we're freaking out, and the refs have to take, of course, like 5 minutes to figure out if they agree or not. And they reversed the call, and we came back and won the 2 points and ended up winning the game. So it was pretty remarkable. And it's just always fun to beat the Cats, and especially in their home core, and they were sold out, and they had people just buying tickets to stand on the corner, and so it was a pretty remarkable experience. And we always just love Grizz Cat game days, and that one was definitely special, and I'll remember that one forever.
That was the most intense volleyball game I've ever watched. And I was watching it from Missoula, and I was pacing around my living room. I was yelling at the TV. So I was right there with you. That was quite a moment for Grizzly volleyball. Really propelled them to a late season run, and again, making the conference tournament for the 3rd time in the last 4 years. Trajon, how about for you? I'll let you even go back to your Oregon State days if there's a highlight there too. You've had to battle so much, which we're going to get into with injuries, adversity. But what was the highlight maybe this year playing for Grizzly football, or even going back to your Oregon State days?
Most of my highlights came this year regarding football. I'll probably say week 1, Washington. That game was crazy. It was just, everybody was just so happy, and we worked so hard, and we just really went to shock the world and prove everybody wrong. And we did that. That was just an amazing experience. And probably being a Cats also. That was my first game, a part of rivalry. So I'm 1-0 against them. I want to keep a winning record against them, of course. That just meant so much to everybody on the team, because everybody's from Montana, and it's just it was just such an emotional game. And also beating Eastern too for our rematch. That was also a great game. We played with so much emotion. I feel like all those games really were just when we played our best.
Yeah, those 3 highlights, those were 3 of the top wins in school history. They all came this year. That season opening win at Washington. Grizz were just one of 5 teams to ever beat a ranked FBS opponent. Pretty amazing stuff. And then we all know those 2 games in Washington Grizzly Stadium against the Cats and Eastern in the playoffs, probably 2 of the all-timers in what was the special season for Grizzly football. Carmen, how about for you? Yeah, again, we're going to get to the adversity question throughout for all of you guys. You've all had to overcome some sort of adversity, but what a run you guys are on with the Lady Grizz right now. What's maybe some career highlights for you so far?
I've had a lot of fun this year, and it's only just started, so I'm really excited about what this team can accomplish further on throughout the season. So far, I had a blast on our road trip to North Dakota. We swept North Dakota and North Dakota State that weekend, and as a team, we just learned so much about ourselves, and you learn a lot about yourselves when you're on the road. And so it was just really fun for us to really kind of get a better understanding of what our culture of the team, we wanted it to be and where it was heading. And I feel like we learned a lot from that weekend. We have a lot to continue learning, but I'm excited to keep growing and keep playing with the team that I have by my side.
Well, you'll never make it about yourself, but I think you hit the game-winning shot at North Dakota State as well. That was pretty awesome. What a cool moment it was for you and your team there to beat the Bison on their home floor. And what a great start for the Lady Grizz under new head coach Brian Holsinger. Cam, you have probably plenty to pick from. Your first year playing, you guys, not only you win the Big Sky title, you're the 6-time Defensive Player of the Week, you're the Big Sky Goalkeeper of the Year, nationally ranked in pretty much all those categories from a statistical standpoint. But what was the highlight for you of this last season for Grizzly soccer?
I definitely have to say towards the end of the season, the Big Sky Conference tournament, it was at UNC this year, and just historically Grizz soccer doesn't do great at UNC's field just in terms of travel and just, I don't know, we say the field is cursed, but it was really interesting because this year in the finals we were faced up against Weber, who are really good, and it was the 10-year anniversary of Grizz winning on UNC field also against Weber. So it was, a really big deal, and just, to come away with the win and qualify for the national tournament was, really, really exciting. And then that weekend was also great because Grizz football was playing at UNC. So we were lucky and we were allowed to go watch Grizz football shut out UNC. So that was pretty cool. And then I guess before that, probably our win against Long Beach. They were nationally ranked, and prior to us shutting them out 1-0, the only other team to shut them out was UCLA, who was 3rd in the nation at the time. So that was a really big deal, and it was a big upset. So it was really exciting.
See, a lot to choose from Grizzly soccer. It's on one of the best runs in school history right now, the last couple of years with Coach Chris Chidovitsky. I think it's interesting because all 4 of you are from out of state, yet you guys can all sense the pride in the University of Montana, the Grizz, and the community. Just talk about maybe that experience a little bit, and how long did it take you to realize how much the Grizz meant to the community, and how much pride you take in representing the University of Montana, because it's special here at the University of Montana. I know there's a lot of colleagues around even in my field that are jealous of what we have in Missoula with just everybody caring so much. So I just like all of you to maybe touch a little bit on that aspect of it. And Catie, we'll start with you.
Yeah, as a team, we talk about this all the time. We'll say, like, when we go out as a team together, if we're doing a community service activity or just dinner together or anything, and we're wearing Grizz gear, we say that, we're going to get stopped, or people are going to come talk to us. And we love that. And our coaches welcome that. And we try to really immerse ourselves in this community because they do care so much. And we get letters every week almost from just different people just wanting to say hi, wanting to say that they support us. And we have great alumni support. We had an alumni weekend, and they all came and just shared stories with us. And they even were talking about how incredible Grizz Nation was, 30 years ago. And it's just cool to see how that has grown over the years and how much we can really feel it. And then it's a running joke with our team. Whenever we're traveling, we're saying, how many Grizz fans can we find in the airport, wherever we are? And there's yet to be one trip in the airport where we have not seen a Grizz fan. And we're traveling, we've been in Denver. We've been in Seattle. We've been plenty of with South Dakota. We were at this tiny airport in South Dakota, and we're wearing our Grizz gear. And we had an older couple come over, and they're like, "Go Grizz, we love you guys." And it's just awesome. It's just felt not only in Missoula, but virtually, it's just felt everywhere. And it's really, really remarkable and special.
It sure is. And Trajon, I'm sure you have great perspective on this, coming again from Oregon State to here, but give us your piece of the puzzle with all this, and when you realized how much the Grizz meant to this community and how much pride you take in it.
I'll probably say right away, I knew it. Like I said, like, why Montana? Just like even on my official visit, like, it was old people like at the breakfast spot we were at just coming out, "Oh, do you play for the Grizz?" and just talking to our coaches and stuff. And it was just crazy how close knit like the community is here, and I love it. Every time I go to the store, people say "Go Grizz" and all that type of stuff. Like when we were in the playoffs on our run, and it's just different here. It feels nice knowing that the fans actually know what's going on during the play and all that type of stuff. Like usually that doesn't happen everywhere you go. And we know that home field advantage is really an advantage for us. Like teams get mad when they have to come up here. So like that, it's just remarkable. I love it.
There's no doubt about it. Carmen, how about for you? You're someone, again, You probably learned it from your brothers when you came to watch Brandon come play and knock down all those 3-pointers when he was a member of the Grizzly basketball team. But when did you get that sense of the Grizz pride, and how much pride do you take in representing UM?
Yeah, definitely. When I was growing up, I'd come watch the men's team, and I was blown away with just, how much everybody bought in. But when I truly experienced it on the women's side, I would say was when I first took my visit, and I went out to eat with the coaches, and everybody and their mother would come up to us, and they'd be like, "Oh, is this a recruit? Is this, so-and-so?" And it was really exciting just because I know that women's basketball is not a sport that is celebrated everywhere like it is here. This season, we've had a group of alumni come watch our practice, and just the stories that they had to tell. It's really inspiring. I mean, there's a whole documentary about Robin Solvig out there. It's a really great tradition that we have for Lady Grizz basketball. And kind of like Catie said, everywhere we go, I mean, we could be in Denver, we could be in Salt Lake, and we're going to have people who, will say, "Go Grizz" as we walk by. And I mean, I have friends who compete in the Big Sky Conference at other schools, and they're like, "Man, it's just so fun when we get to come play at Montana." And I think because of that, our school does have a little bit of a target on our back, but it's something that I think I speak for all 4 of us here when we say that we take pride in that, and we get excited when schools, have that chip on their shoulder about us.
Everybody wants to beat Montana. I don't think I'm overstepping saying that University of Montana athletics, certainly the crown jewel of the Big Sky Conference. That is for sure. Finally, Cam, and coming from international borders, from British Columbia, just down here, what did you know about Montana? I guess coming here and the sense of pride that you've accumulated since your time being at UM.
Well, so first of all, in Canada, like just collegiate sports, like school sports isn't exactly a big deal. So, throughout high school, like no one played high school sports, or even college sports. When you do go play, like it's not as big as it is in the United States. And so I think I first experienced it, same thing on my visit, but that was way back in 2017, 2018. And obviously my true freshman year with COVID and everything, didn't get a lot of fans, COVID restrictions. So I didn't really get to feel the love completely. And then I think it was really just this year when people got to show up again for the first time at South Campus Stadium, and just, hearing the crowd and having like record numbers. So it was just great. And then heading into the national tournament, people stopping me in Albertsons and saying, "Oh, you play Grizz soccer, like good luck this weekend." And it's just like, great that people recognize you and just, are really invested in Grizzly athletics.
I think every student athlete, and particularly these 4 who represent them so well, are mini celebrities in the town of Missoula, and they represent UM so well throughout. I know that we're getting close to the Q&A portion of this. Brett, if we've got questions to roll in, you want me to moderate?
Great, thanks. It is that magical time where we welcome questions from the audience. Please feel free to use the Q&A function on the bottom of your screen if you have questions for all or any of our panelists. We'll see that Riley gets the questions and asks accordingly. And we'll let it go from there. We'll do that for about 45 more minutes, and it'll be a fun time. Thank you.
Sounds great. Feel free to let the questions pour in. We'll start from William Lawrence on this one. And he asked, "I've been told that Power 5 schools require their students," let me get back to it. Here we go. "That Power 5 schools require their student athletes to take their harder courses during the summer sessions because being an athlete is more like a full-time job. Do you guys feel that pressure here at Montana to attend summer school?" Whoever wants to jump in with that can go ahead.
I can go.
Go ahead, Cam.
So I would say, I've never been pressured by my coaches to take summer classes. And ultimately, summer is really the only break that I get from soccer. So it's from soccer and from Missoula and my opportunities to go home. So they really value the time that I get to spend with my family. So, there's no pressure for us to take our harder courses in the summer. However, it's pretty typical for players in season to take a easier workload, less credits, or just, easier courses. And then for me, throughout the spring, which is our off season, you take your harder courses or your harder, like more credits. So yeah.
Anyone else feel free to jump in on that one?
I would just add on that everything Cam said, it rings true for our team, but there is I guess an expectation that you are working out and preparing yourself for the season because it does start right away in the fall. But our coaches give us the freedom to say, like, if you can go home and do that and take the time off and still work out, you can do that. So there's a lot of freedom in how we choose to work out and feel prepared for the season. And that's kind of just an individual choice. I personally prefer to be here in the summer because I love our weight room and I love working out with my teammates. And so that's more of like a personal choice for me. But as far as the course load, we really rely on our academic advisors to help us kind of navigate, like, okay, if this course is going to be in season and it requires 20 hours outside of class to do that, is this realistic for you? And I've come into this problem where my advisor says this probably isn't realistic, but if you want to do it, we can work around it. And so they do give a lot of free choice, but they really want to make it so that you are the most successful in season and during the summer.
Trajon, I think you had your hand up. You want to go next?
Yes. Because I was at Oregon State and I kind of experienced this at Oregon State during the summer. We were required to take at least one course, but that was because so they could pay us our stipend. So they had to work around it. So we had to be in one summer course. And that kind of like always kept us ahead if something happened in the fall or anything like that. So I kind of like that setup. Here we don't really do it because I think money. So like we can't pay for a summer course. So summer is like when we still kind of have to be here and work out, but that's when a lot of the football players get jobs or things like that to provide.
And Carmen, you get the last word on this one.
Yeah, I would just kind of echo what Trajon said, is that we spend a lot of time here in the summer, but I don't think it's necessarily required, but same thing for football. If we do want to work out and get that stipend, we will be taking a summer course. And it has been helpful. It's lightened the workload come fall, and it's kept me ahead of the game when it comes to graduating too.
Okay, this next one should be a fun one. It comes from Jamar. It's a two-part question. The first one is, what is something that you would tell to your 12th grade self? And then secondly, what is something about yourself that your 12th grade self would be proud of? I can repeat that question too as you answer it. So who wants to take this one to start? Okay, Trajon, go ahead.
I'll tell you, what I'll tell my 12th grade self is you haven't arrived yet. Because like going into college, I was kind of a high recruit. So going into college, you think you're still, I don't know, big-headed a little bit. You're young, think you're big-headed a little bit. I just wish I would have probably just keep grinding. I was grinding, but like I wasn't like focused like on the film, the little things like that. And I feel like that would have just helped me propel myself. And the second part.
What is something about yourself that your 12th grade self would be proud of?
I'll say just how hard I overcame adversity. I never folded. I just kept going and pushing. And I know I'll be proud of that.
Well, you've had to overcome a lot. 2 separate season-ending injuries, if I'm not mistaken, a 5th-year sophomore. So grinding all the way through it. A lot to be proud of there. Which one of you three wants to attack this fun question next, this 2-part question?
I can go.
All right, go ahead, Catie.
What I would tell my 12th grade self is kind of similar, but it's not going to be easy, I think is what I would tell myself. When I was younger, my big goal was to make it to college athletics. And then once I did that, I was like, well, what do I do now? And being here, this is now my third season here, you know, it's difficult. Being a student athlete is really difficult. And I think when you're younger, you're just like, oh, I just want to make it to the big stage, just want to make it there. But then it's really hard to maintain there. And they don't really teach you about that, about how to keep pushing once you've hit that goal. And so I would tell myself, like, just keep pushing and realize that you're going to have to overcome difficulty. And then along the same lines, something that I think senior me would be proud of is that I have overcome those difficulties. In the spring, the COVID season was really, really difficult for us as a team and for me individually. And I kind of, as a freshman, I was starting, I was playing a lot. And then when COVID year hit, it was really difficult for me to get the training in, and we had new players, and it was just a hard season. And me personally, I didn't see a lot of playing time, and that was really, really difficult. And I had to teach myself how to grind in the off season and how to really push myself. And this season, I earned a starting spot, and I really, really pushed myself for that. And that made all the successes that we faced as a team that much more worth it, because I was able to see how much I'd worked to get to that spot. So that's what I would say.
And you earned it too. You were a key piece in the Grizz late season run. It was really cool watching your journey come full circle last year. You certainly earned it and deserved it. All right, Carmen or Cam, who's next up with this two-part question?
I can go.
Okay, go ahead, Carmen.
So something I wish that I had known as a senior in high school would just be, like, I personally spend so much time worrying about the future and really what's out of my hands. And I wish that I would have just kind of slowed down and enjoyed the moment that I was in, you know, at the present time, because it goes by so fast. And I know that we still have another COVID year that's available for us if we want it, but I mean, it blows my mind that I've already been here for 4 years. So just kind of like enjoy the present, do everything in your power to prepare for the future, but don't worry about it as much as I did. And then I think my 12th grade self would be proud of how far I've come, you know, emotionally, like just as a whole person, not just as an athlete. I feel like I've grown, I've learned so much from my teammates, my coaches. Every single person that I've come in contact with has taught me so much about the game and just life in general. And so I'm really grateful that I've been able to be surrounded by some really impactful people.
And your journey's been awesome to watch too, being an all Big Sky performer after freshman year, maybe not playing as much as you wanted, redshirting your sophomore year, and now being the all Big Sky performer you are. Cam, you get the last word on this one.
I guess I would tell my senior self, you know, you're not there yet. You've got a lot of time. Just, you know, live in the moment and just hopefully just trust in yourself. And then something that I think my senior self would be very proud of is, I guess, just how I've settled into my role. You know, I came in knowing that I was going to be redshirted, and just COVID season, obviously didn't play. And then, you know, coming into this year with obviously Claire Howard being absolutely amazing before me, and just, you know, having to fill in that role, I think just I'm very proud of how I did it. So, yeah.
Great answers from all of you. And I think there's this disclaimer out there that redshirting is easy. Redshirting is not easy whatsoever, from a mental side of things, to stick with it all the way through. And more kudos to all of you for doing that as well. Dave Peppinger asks, first off says, thanks for taking time from your busy schedule to attend today. Obviously, COVID has had an impact on everyone, and most certainly for all of you collegiate athletes. Did you have any moments throughout 2020 where you questioned your commitment to your sport because of the on and off nature of the season and what the COVID season provided?
I can go first.
Go ahead, Cam.
So again, being international, COVID was incredibly tough for me because of the border. You know, I think Trajon might technically be further away than I am from home, but you know, just being that fine line of a border just made things so much more difficult. And ultimately, my freshman year, moved to the United States by myself without my parents. And, you know, it was kind of heartbreaking to move into my dorm by myself, watching all my teammates, you know, have their parents there, have their mom there. And then ultimately, you know, throughout the shutdowns during fall, everyone was allowed to go home. And, I couldn't get across the border. And even if I did, I couldn't get back into the United States. So ultimately I was isolated here, by myself, which was really, really hard. And just, there was no soccer. There was, school was online. I was cooped up in a dorm. We weren't allowed to see anyone really. And it was just, hard. And, in reality at that time, I was even thinking like, maybe I should just, go home. Like, and this is just so hard. How long is this going to last? But, I stuck through with it, and things got a little bit better. And then for Christmas, I got to go home. Thankfully, it was really hard with COVID. Again, almost wasn't sure if I was allowed to go home. But then, spring came around, COVID got a bit better, and just, everything kind of unfolded, and just, it gets better is what I have to say.
Well, and also what's been put to light is mental health of student athletes. And I think everyone making sure they take more time for that over the last year, because you guys had to overcome so much. Carmen, I am going to go to you next on this one, just because I kind of had a similar experience with traveling with men's basketball for what it was like during your season as well, with getting tested a couple times per week and having to balance all of that. So maybe take us through your eyes on what the COVID season was like for you, and if you question your commitment to the sport because of the on and off nature of the year.
Honestly, I think that our team was a lot more fortunate than a lot of teams in the US. There were some, like I know Stanford, their women's team was literally living in a hotel for at least 2 months during their season. And I mean, I complain because I'm in a hotel for 2 days over a road trip, and I'm like, oh, I just want to go back to my bed. But we were pretty fortunate. We were able to practice a lot. And like you said, we got tested probably 3 times a week. I would say the hardest thing was when we would prepare for a team all week, and then literally the night before the game, we would get a text that said, sorry, this team is not going to be able to make it. And I mean, that's what us athletes live for. We live for the games, we live for the competitions where we're in front of our fans. And being as fortunate as we are, the Lady Grizz program does draw a good number of fans. And so I felt really bad for our freshmen last year who didn't really get to experience that their first season. But ultimately it worked out. I think it just put everything in perspective this year to make us realize how lucky we are.
Awesome. Catie or Trajon?
Yeah, I echo everything that both of Cam and Carmen just said. The COVID season was hard, and I think Carmen does make a point. Like we were noticing a lot of teams were just shut down, or they didn't get any opportunity to play. And so it was constantly like, this is hard, but we're fortunate to play. And it was a confusing time, and we were getting tested, and we didn't really know if we could practice tomorrow, or we didn't know if we were going to be able to travel for the next game. And there was a lot of unknowns. And for a planner like me, it was really, really difficult to be like, I can't plan for the week ahead, or I can't plan for the next day. And I think something that our program did that really helped is our coaches tried to reverse that and be like, we might not get to play tomorrow, so let's play so hard today so that if we don't get tomorrow, you're like, well, today was great. And I thought that was a really unique way of looking at it, instead of, seeing all the negative things that were going on and how challenging it was and how isolated we were. We chose to really be grateful for the opportunity to play and to be with each other. But that doesn't denote all of the challenges that we did face and how difficult this season was. But on the positive side, that made this year and this season that much sweeter and that much more memorable and special.
Trajon, you get the last word on this, and the other 3 got to go through at least partial seasons. For you guys, made the decision to really opt out. You played those 2 spring games, but not close to the same of what a normal season would be like. So take us through what the COVID season was like in the last year through your eyes and through Grizzly football.
It was horrible because nobody made a decision and stood on it. Like, you'll hear rumors that we're going to play a 6-game season, then you'll hear rumors that we're playing a 7-game season, then you'll hear rumors that it's going to be no season. So it was just kind of frustrating, because all we want to do is play. And it just kind of, it was hard. It was real hard. I didn't really question my commitment to my team, though. It just made me like, I just couldn't wait to get back to playing the game that I love. So it was hard, but I think it just made us more hungry, and I think it probably contributed to how good of a season we had this year.
I would 100% agree with you on that. The fueling of the fire, and especially for game number 1, when you guys got to focus in on Washington for so many months, and the locker room was so united. And I was telling people that all offseason that they're going to be ready to go. You watch, and sure enough, one of the most historic wins in school history. All right, here's a fun one. Comes from Eric. What do each of you like to do during your leisure time away from sports and academics, which is what we've been talking about for the first hour? So what do you guys like doing in your off time, so to speak?
I can start this one.
Okay, go. I was going to go to you anyway. We must have had ESP going on. So go ahead, Carmen.
I mean, obviously, I feel like Netflix is kind of an obvious answer, but I am fortunate enough to have family here. My brother lives here, and he and his wife have a baby girl, and she just turned 1 a couple of months ago. And so, like, I get to go hang out with them whenever I want. I went to dinner last night, and it's really nice just having them here. And I'm really close with my family and seeing them all the time. And then obviously our team is pretty close too. And so we'll go hang out a lot and grab coffee or go to the mall and walk around and stuff like that. And so it's nice to kind of hang out when you're outside of the locker room or outside of the gym.
All right, Cam, I'm going to go to you next. What do you like doing outside of soccer and your studies?
A lot of people don't know this, but I'm a big DIYer. So not much here just because I don't have the supplies or the power tools, but back home, I do a lot in my garage with our power tools. And, you know, for my sister's birthday, I built her new shelf and some, you know, just cool, you know, wood stuff. And then, yeah, I just fool around in the garage a lot. And then here, I'm a big outdoors person, so I love camping and love to bake, and I love to hike, and recently really big into fly fishing. So that's my newfound interest here in Missoula.
I like it. Okay, Catie, you're up next.
All right. Well, obviously I love Missoula, so I love hiking, biking, the river. Me and my roommates love to go on drives just around Missoula and find new spots and journal and read. I am kind of obsessed with baking shows. And I do like little crafts here and there. But most of the time, like Carmen said, when you have some downtime, I like to binge some shows on Netflix. So it's kind of my go-to.
I think for how high intensity you guys' lives are, that like just hanging out and watching Netflix, that sounds just fine to me. So Trajon, when you do get any time away from being a student athlete for football, what do you like doing?
I'm kind of a homebody. I like just enjoying my free time. I'll play the game a little bit, watch sports, watch Netflix like was mentioned before. I just like being at home, relaxing, honestly.
Well, all of these athletes, I should make sure I mention, they're all academic, all Big Sky as well, and just stand out in the classroom, on the playing field as well. Some more fun questions. I like this one. Did you play another sport while you were in high school, and do you miss not playing those sports and having to just focus on one? Carmen, go ahead.
I did basketball, volleyball, track, and softball, and I loved volleyball. And I really, there was a part of me that was going to pursue it in college, changed gears like sophomore year. And I didn't realize how much I would miss it until I came here and watched my first volleyball game. And I was like, dang, I really, after state volleyball, I just focused all of my attention to basketball season, and it's been basketball from there on out. And I miss it a lot. And Catie, if you guys ever need a practice player, you know where to go.
I'm just gonna say, here we go. You two can go back and forth on this one. I like it. Catie, I guess with that lead, and we'll go to you next.
Yeah, so that's actually funny because I played basketball and volleyball mostly growing up. I have 2 older brothers, and they both played basketball collegiately. And so my dad played basketball, my mom played basketball. So we were a very basketball-driven family. And then I chose volleyball because I kind of wanted to do my own thing. And unfortunately, I only played basketball for 1 year in high school because I played at a very intense volleyball club. And they made the commitment very clear that if you were to play there, you had to do volleyball all the time. And I really, really regret that. I loved basketball. The funny thing is people would make fun of me because I only liked defense on basketball. And so I'm tall. And so I was a post and I only like to defend. I only like to stuff people. I would never shoot. I'd always pass. And even if I was a foot taller than the people defending me, I would just pass the ball. And so, but I do miss basketball a lot. And I love going to the Lady Grizz games. And I'm friends with a lot of the girls on the team. And I love that. So maybe we can do a switch day, Carmen.
That'd be a ton of fun. And also, you're the exact opposite of a ball hog, which everyone else is seeing that you want to play defense. Okay, what's up with that? I love it. All right, we'll go with Trajon next.
Yes, I ran track, and they wouldn't let me play basketball in high school because I was the varsity quarterback. So like they said, just focus on football. Don't want you getting hurt. So, but I also ran track too. I don't really miss track though. I don't miss it. I mainly did it just for the practice and just getting faster for football.
Well, hold on. That leads me to a follow-up. You were a quarterback in high school. So tell us about the position change and what that was like. I mean, anytime you transition from being a quarterback to something else, it's got to be a mental hurdle to get over. What was that like for you?
Yeah, so I was a quarterback pretty much my whole life. My freshman year, they moved me up to junior varsity. I started at quarterback, and then my sophomore year, they moved me up to varsity to start at quarterback, but they started the senior over me. So I understood it, but that's my first season playing DB. I went to safety that year since they didn't start me at quarterback, and I was all league as a sophomore. I did really good. It made me kind of like defense a little bit, but then junior year when the senior quarterback left, they wanted me to play quarterback. I told them I can't play quarterback unless you let me play quarterback and safety. So I did that for my junior and senior year, and it was fun. It was real fun.
That's an awesome story. All right, Cam, other sports that you played growing up or even in high school that you maybe wish you still could?
Yeah, so similar to Catie, my program that I came from kind of made us commit. It was all or nothing. And so I chose soccer. I think I fully committed to soccer when I was 12, which now thinking about it is kind of crazy. And like that they make you choose that when you're 12. But growing up in Canada, it's pretty standard for everyone to play hockey. So that's what I did growing up all my life, was play hockey. Played on a boys team, played on a girls team, played pond hockey, played street hockey. I miss it a lot. It's very different from soccer. It's fast paced. It's kind of like basketball. It's just 5-on-5 and just fast switches there and back. You get subbed a lot. You get to score a lot of goals, and it's just, fast paced compared to soccer. But, I love soccer a lot, and, part of me wishes I still played hockey for fun, but it's just too much of a risk nowadays, as a contact sport. So.
Well, you guys are certainly competitors across the board. And this leads us to our next question from Julie. What's the best part about competing? What do you guys like most about that? Whoever wants to jump in first. All right, Trajon, go ahead.
I'll say the preparation is kind of like the best part for me. I like the preparation to be so hard that like playing on Saturdays is just so easy because you did all the film study, you did all the work, you know your opponent inside and out, and that's what just makes it so much better when you dominate them and when you beat them. So, and winning is a huge component to that.
I like all of those answers. All right, who wants to jump in next? Best part about competing?
The first word that popped into my head was winning when I heard that question. And I guess that is just kind of the natural competitor comment. But when we're able, basketball is a very team-oriented sport. Everybody has to be really focused on doing their individual part in order for the team to be successful. And so, like, yes, you carry a lot of weight on yourself, but you have your teammates to bounce back off of. And just coming together, I love playing with my team. Makes all the difference in the world when you have a group that is really focused and wants to do what's best for the entire team. And, there's not a ton of individual aspect to it.
All right, Catie, you want to jump in on this one next? Your favorite part about competing?
Yeah, I would say a similar thing to Carmen. I play a team sport and I did that purposely. But I think the best part about competing is seeing all the hard work that goes into those moments. And so with volleyball, a game is 25 points. So it's only 25 points. So there are some times I could go through a rotation and not touch a ball. And it's like, how did I do better for the people next to me? Or how did I help set up that block so that my middle could score? And so I think competing is a way to really show that you and the team are meshing, and that you guys have put in so many hours for that moment and those 25 points. And we've had a lot of times where people have underestimated us as a team, and they come in and they're like, oh, we're gonna beat them. And then we come out and they don't know all the work that we've been preparing for the week. And we'll come out and kind of show them what's up. And they you can tell that they just weren't prepared for that. And so I think it's fun being an underdog in some situations and just being able to show what you've been working on. And it's fun, when you're competing. My favorite part, like volleyball oriented, is blocking someone. Probably goes to similar if I like stuffing people in basketball, but I love when people go up and they think that they're going to slam it and you just stuff them straight to the ground. And it's such a momentum builder. And I think those big moments are what make competing, like that feeling that you get, is so indescribable and so much fun.
And just that raw emotion, especially volleyball, it just comes out right away on a block or anything like that. It's contagious to be there and to watch you guys have that play out in front of us. Cam, you get the last word on this one. Your favorite part of competing?
I think my favorite part of competing, has to be showing everyone how good we are and winning really, and just being dominant, not only in the big sky consistently, but also nationally. And that's another thing that I really like about competing is, going to all these new places and, playing against all these girls from across the country that, otherwise I never really would have ever gotten the opportunity to play against, and just, proving that, Grizz soccer is really good on a regional front and on a national front. So just winning.
You guys have obviously completed that so far, and everyone knows Grizz soccer pretty darn good the last couple of seasons as well. A reminder, if you'd like to ask any of the student athletes questions, we have about 15 more minutes or so. Feel free to put them in the Q&A function, and we'll make sure they get asked. Here's a fun one, because I watch coaches and how coaches tick throughout the course of a game and throughout the course of a season. But game day rituals, those are special for everybody. And I know that all players have some as well. So Trajon, we're going to start with you on this one, but do you have any rituals on game day, superstitions to get you mentally and physically ready to go?
Honestly, in high school I had a couple, but in college it kind of changed because the rules Montana got set up. We can't have our cell phones game day and all of that. So it kind of changes things, but I still listen to music, and I'll probably just say my playlist is kind of my ritual. I listen to a select few songs, and it just gets me ready for game day.
Okay. All right. We're going to go with Carmen next. And you like lucky pairs of socks or anything like that too, or anything you have to eat beforehand? You can be creative with this one, but Carmen, what are some of your game day rituals?
It used to be a pretty rigorous thing, I feel like, in high school. But since coming to college, we have our scout, we eat breakfast or lunch together as a team. And then after that, I usually go and grab some coffee and just try and listen to my music. And usually I just need to kind of calm down rather than get myself hyped up more than anything. Coffee probably isn't helping that, but I just like to kind of relax before the game. And then I always chew gum when I'm playing or practicing. It's I don't feel like I rely on it, but it's just something that keeps me going and keeps me active and focused, I feel like.
I like it. All right, Catie, what are your game day rituals?
Well, our team is actually very superstitious. So we'll do anything of oh, we won that game, and Catie, you drank 2 sips of my coffee, so this game you have to drink 2 sips of my coffee, and people get pretty crazy about it on our team. Personally, I drink a coffee before every game, like Carmen. A lot of our team does that. And then my faith is really important to me, and so I pray before every game. But something that you might think is like weird, I do it in the bathroom stall before we go. It's kind of like my own moment, but a lot of the team, they always laugh about that. They're like, did you go to the bathroom yet? Like, did you go pray? And it's kind of like a funny little thing that we do. Our coaches also have like, they listen to a certain like remix. It's like Harry Potter remix and Pirates of the Caribbean remix, and they listen to that during our scout every day. And once we turn it on, we're like, okay, like it's gonna be good. And so we're very superstitious. There's a lot of things throughout that they're really particular about, which is pretty funny.
There's always a method to the madness behind all these teams. I absolutely love it. All right, Cam, what do you do to get yourself ready to go to pitch yet another shutout in soccer, which you did so many times this year?
Well, in the locker room, I always put on a playlist, and then, I just listen to my music, but there's always 2 songs that I have to listen to. That's something that hasn't always been that way. I figured that out this year, and they just mean a lot. So I listen to those. And then, once I get out onto the field before we start warm-ups, I always sit on the bench for, a good few minutes, just think over, what I'm going to do today, what to expect, and just, tell myself that like everything's going to be okay, and just be you, and just, do your thing. And then, I always got to drink Gatorade before the whistle goes off. And yeah, that's about it.
I love it. Okay, this is a good one, because we know that throughout the course of your guys' careers, you've had so many people that have had an impact on you via coaches and maybe pieces of advice they've given you. So what's the best piece of advice you've gained from a coach, and maybe 1 or 2 of the most impactful coaches that you've had throughout your entire career journey up to this point? And whoever wants to take it first can go ahead.
I can go. One of the first impactful coaches that I immediately comes to mind is for a club that I played for my senior year. They were focused on like the mental aspects of volleyball. And so it was a Christian club, but they also did mental toughness training. And so I learned so much from my coach there. And she is a certified like mental mindset training coach. And I learned just so many things about the internal processes that's going on and what to do when things don't go right and how to create good habits. But something that she taught me was how would you feel on your best day, and what does that look like, and how do you realistically make that happen? And for me, I noticed that a lot of my goals, I was like, well, I just want to be good. And she's like, well, what does that mean? And I'd never really thought about it. I'm like, well, I just want to be good. And she really helped me compartmentalize my goals and make them realistic and make them more, I guess, like easier for me to visualize and attain. And that has been huge for me throughout college, just learning how to create those types of goals and how to view myself as a player that not only needs immense physical training, but also immense mental training. And she really helped me see the mental side of the game.
Wow, that's awesome. Who wants to go next? We'll throw it to Trajon. Go ahead.
I'll probably say I have 2 real important quotes that kind of stuck with me like throughout life that was said by a coach in high school. He was like just like our O-line coach, and he told the team to just wake up every day and tell yourself you're gonna have a good day. And that kind of just propels me every morning, because I just tell myself that I'm gonna have a good day and good things happen. And then also a quote from kind of like one of the player development people at Oregon State. He said he's seen I was frustrated like with the organization and stuff. So he came up to me and he said, remember to always bet on yourself. And that kind of made me make my mind. Like, I'm Trajon kind. I need to bet on myself, because I feel like I'm, you know what I mean? It kind of reinforced that. And 2 real inspirational coaches, I'll say, probably was one of my high school coaches. He was my JV coach, but he was also my 7-on-7 coach. We called him Coach T. He helped me get recruited and all that. He was just always kind of been like a big uncle figure, always had my back, always had my best interest. He helped me when I was in the portal as well. reaching out to schools and all that. So like he, someone that always had my back. And then another person probably would have to be, I don't know, I'll probably my parents, I guess. I talk to my parents a lot, and they're real inspirational as well.
I love those messages right when you wake up too. Like, hey, I'm gonna have a good day. That's seems so simple, but also at the same time can be so important. Carmen or Cam, anything come to mind for you guys when it comes to impactful coaches or something maybe a coach has said that has resonated with you?
Sorry, Cam, are you going?
No, you can go.
I have a couple. My high school volleyball coach, she always used to tell us, fall in love with the pursuit of your potential, which is a really good way of phrasing, enjoy the process, which is something that I highlighted earlier on in this chat, was just kind of, you're going to have to do a lot of nitty gritty stuff like weightlifting early in the morning, running, up the M and stuff like that. That's not fun, but it's those moments that make champions, and it's those moments that are going to define your culture and just how you approach the sport and other hard things that we go through in life. And then Mike Petrino is somebody who has always been a mentor to me, whether it's as a coach, whether it's as a friend. He coached me my freshman, sophomore, and junior seasons. I had a relationship with him through recruiting early on, and he's somebody who I really respect. He one thing he said was never miss an opportunity to thank somebody. And I think that's really important for us as athletes, because there's so much more that goes on behind just us being athletically gifted. Our parents who were able to drive us to practices, our coaches that stayed after with us to help us, our teammates who, told other coaches about us when we were getting recruited. And there's so much more that goes into our success than just our own hard work. And Mike said, never miss an opportunity to thank people. And that's definitely something that I try and remember to do often.
That's great advice. Cam?
Yeah, one of my coaches throughout my high school career, Mike Norris, he told me, if you're ever doubting yourself, or if you ever are in a big moment and you feel uncertainty, he said, do it for the little girl who fell in love with the sport, and just remember her, and remember, how much she loves what she's doing, and just, do it for her, and just give it your all.
Love it. Okay, this question comes from Dave. What are some of the resources each of you use to help you work through the stresses and pressures of your sports? And do you feel that there's enough information about those resources to help some of the mental struggles that are out there for student athletes? We talked about the mental health aspect a little bit ago, but just as far as maybe some self-help or resources that you guys use to go through the stresses and pressures of sports and being a student athlete. And anyone can jump in.
I'll go.
Okay, go ahead, Cam.
My mom, she's probably my biggest support system. I talk to her a lot, just about everything that's going on, stresses in my life, school, soccer, just socially, and just, it's always nice to connect with her. She gives great advice. And, I think connecting with my mom is probably one of my best resources. And then, on campus, our athletic training staff is incredibly helpful, and if they can't help you, they'll direct you to resources that can. And just, we have great sports psychologists on campus, and just really great mental health resources that you can take advantage of.
All right, Carmen, were you the one who wanted to jump in? Go ahead.
Yeah, I would definitely want to echo what Cam said, is that our athletic training staff is phenomenal, and not only helping us with our bodies, but if we have something that is bugging us mentally, they are very knowledgeable and helpful when it comes to finding the people that can support us in that way. But something I would say is just being part of a team is really helpful in this situation, because that you're probably not the only one who's going through the struggles that you are. I have 12 other girls that I can talk to, and they understand where I'm coming from. They understand why I'm feeling the ways that I am, and being able to have those conversations where it doesn't sound like you're complaining, but you're just being able to recognize what each other is going through and talk through that situation is really important.
Catie or Trajon?
The only other thing that I would add is, as a freshman, if you come to Montana, you're required to take an NCAA class, and it's 8 weeks, I think, so it's a little bit shorter, and basically it's run by the academic advisors, and they just show you all the resources available to you, and they show you time management skills, and they show you how to deal with challenges and how to manage schedules and how to talk to coaches and things like that. And that is really invaluable information, and I'm glad that they do that for freshmen, because I think it's really, really important to come in and learn that. But I would say kind of what Carmen said in the very beginning of, you have a bunch of resources, and sometimes it takes a little bit longer to use them fully, because I agree with her. I wish I would have used more as a freshman, but there's a lot available, and they're really good about making sure that you know what's available to you.
Trajon, on to you.
A big resource I used was my position coach, actually, Coach Shan. Just going to him about like my concerns and my thought process, or how am I doing, that week. He played the sport. He played under Coach Houck, so he kind of understands how it gets. So he's just someone I really grown a relationship with, and I talk to a lot about kind of like my mental or my stressors and how I'm feeling.
Shan Schillinger, of course, a Grizzly legend in his own right. He was obviously a player for the Grizz and now on the coaching staff. Before I turn this back over to Brett, I just want to thank everybody for having us be a part of this today. And these 4 great student athletes, I can't stress enough how well they all represent Grizzly athletics. They strive for greatness both on the court and off of it, and you could certainly see it through the last 90 minutes or so. Catie Semadeni with Grizzly Volleyball, Carmen Gfeller with the Lady Grizz, Cam Zhu, Grizzly Soccer, and Trajon Cotton with Grizzly Football. So with that being said, back to you, Brett.
Thank you, everyone. You all mentioned traveling a little bit earlier, and I was thinking, when you go through one of the hub airports back to Missoula, like Salt Lake City or Denver or Minneapolis, you don't even need to know the gate number. You just sort of stroll around and you see the people in the Grizz outfits waiting in the waiting areas, and their pride in the Grizz is for folks like you. So thank you for doing what you do, and thank you for this extremely fun panel. It was a good one, and thank you to our audience for sticking through this, especially with the Zoom format. I know it's not the ideal. And again, thanks to our sponsors, in particular the University of Montana, First Security Bank, and Blackfoot Communication. Again, with Zoom, January 10th for Back to Reality, Housing and Homelessness. Please check our website and Facebook page for registration information. And I hope, but I can't promise that we'll be back in person sometime first quarter 2022. And with that, I want to thank you all again and say goodbye.